Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into an absolutely incredible story of adventure, of love, of loss, and believe it or not, it's all told from the perspective of an object you probably see almost every day. So, let's meet our narrator. And no, it's not a person. It's a piece of glass. Yep, a bottleneck hanging in a birdcage serving as a water dish. It's lost its body, you see, and now it has one heck of a story to tell about how it all happened. Okay, so our story kicks off right here, in this humble little room, a garret, where our bottleneck is just a water glass for a bird. Pretty quiet, right? Well, this simple life is a world away from the incredible journey it's already been on, a journey it's about to share with us. The bottleneck actually remembers its past, when it was what it calls a complete lark. You know, a whole bottle, full of purpose and life. But now, it's just a fragment, a neck and a mouth. So how on earth did it get from that glorious past to this? All right, let's rewind. Let's go all the way back to the very beginning. A time of blazing furnaces, amazing wine, and, of course, the bright spark of new love. Talk about a whirlwind start to life. 1 minute it's born in the fire of a factory, and the next it's being filled with some really expensive wine. And then, just like that, it's chosen to play a starring role in what looks like the absolute happiest day of a young couple's life. And what a scene it is. Imagine this. A perfect romantic picnic out in the woods. Our bottle is right there in the middle of it all, the vessel for a toast between this lovely furrier's daughter and her fiancé, a young sailor who's about to head out to sea. They're toasting their future, promising to get married the very day he gets back in a year. The sailor, just completely overcome with joy, makes this grand vow. He declares the bottle sacred to this one perfect moment, that it should never be used by anyone else. And then he just hurls it high into the air and it lands in a woodland lake. You'd think that's the end of the story, right? But oh no, its journey is really just getting started. Yeah, the bottle's journey is far from over. It gets found, but this time, well, it's given a new, much more serious purpose. So some peasant boys find the bottle and take it home. Before you know it, it's filled up with this bitter medicinal brandy. And then, in this just unbelievable twist of fate, it ends up on the very same ship as the young sailor. His shipmates even give it a nickname, the apothecary. And then, far, far out at sea, disaster strikes. A terrible storm just descends on the ship, catching everyone completely off guard. You can just picture it, these huge, dark waves crashing over the deck, tossing the ship around like a toy in the raging ocean. Things go from bad to worse. The main mast just splits in two. The ship springs a leak. And the pumps? They're totally useless against the flooding water. All hope is pretty much lost. In these last few moments, as the ship is literally going under, the young sailor, the fiancé of the furrier's daughter, is desperately looking for some way to send one last message. He spots an empty bottle nearby and grabs it. He scribbles this final heartbreaking farewell to his beloved, signs his name, and shoves the note inside the bottle. And here's the kicker, the tragic irony of it all. He has no idea it's the exact same bottle from their betrothal picnic. He throws it into the sea just as the ship disappears beneath the waves. So the very same bottle that once celebrated the start of their love story now carries the tragic news of its end. And so begins this long, aimless drift across a huge, empty ocean that just doesn't care. After more than a year floating around, the bottle is fished out of the water in a totally different country. The people who find it see the letter inside, but they can't read the language. The heartbreaking message stays a secret. The bottle gets put away in a cupboard, and eventually it's just forgotten in a dusty old attic. For 20 long years. Can you imagine? It just lies there in silence, covered in dust and cobwebs, its tragic message still locked inside. And our narrator reflects on this long silence. It just waited and waited. But, as it says, you can't exactly learn a language living in a loft. It was only when the house was finally being rebuilt that it saw the light of day again. So, after all those years of darkness, the bottle gets to experience a few brief, kind of dazzling, but ultimately final moments of action. It has this whole second life. First, it's repurposed as a garden lamp for a festival.
Then it's sold to an aeronaut, a balloonist. It soars high above the city in a hot air balloon, where the balloonist makes a toast to the crowd below and, just like the sailor all those years ago, hurls the bottle from a great height. Only this time, it smashes on a roof below.
So the bottle is destroyed, but believe it or not, the story still isn't quite over. The neck, which broke off cleanly, gets salvaged, and it's about to go on one last journey to a destination that brings this whole incredible odyssey full circle. A cellarman finds the broken neck and thinks, hey, this would make a perfect little water glass for a bird. And who does he give it to? The old maid who lives in the garret, who is, you guessed it, the very same furrier's daughter from all those years ago. The old maid, now an older woman, still thinks about her long-lost love. She believes he's just sleeping peacefully at the bottom of the sea. She has absolutely no idea that the piece of glass hanging right there in her window, a witness to her greatest joy, is the very same object that carried her love's final parting sigh.
And the thing is, the bottleneck never recognizes her, and she, of course, never finds out its secret. It just leaves us with this incredible, lingering question. What stories do the objects all around us hold? What kind of hidden histories, what unbelievable journeys are locked away in the ordinary things we see every single day?